Welcome to something to talk about. Yeah, really loud. Welcome to something to talk about.
Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and this is one of my What's the Difference? Let's talk about the differences, and that's for Alliser Thorne. So I do these differences between the Game of Thrones show or House of the Dragon with certain characters and the Song of Ice and Fire book series. And yeah, we're just looking at the differences. This is probably the biggest one. I thought Hot Pie was going to be a big one. No, Alliser Thorne's definitely the biggest character I have covered on Let's Talk About the Difference, and it will be the biggest. I will now cover a character. Oh my god, guys, this is gonna be a long haul. You know how long this one is? I don't know yet because I'm still filming it, but it's probably gonna be a long one. If you don't know what's going on here, I kind of talk at the screen. I don't do any editing. I just let my my nerd flag fly, and I got these cars to stay on track. So I'm going to start off talking about the show, which actually I have 3 slides for. If you guys aren't a big fan of that, I'm sorry. Then I'm going to talk about Alliser himself and all of his book stuff, and then at the end, I'm going to cover his differences. So let's not pitter patter anymore. Let's get at her and let's talk about the show. The Jerk at Arms. In the television adaptation Game of Thrones, Alliser is portrayed by Owen Telly. I'm not sure, dude, but sorry. Tail? Maybe it's Tail. Sir Alliser Thorne is a member of the Night's Watch. He is from House Thorne, a noble house in the Crownlands, sworn to the Iron Throne. He fought on the Targaryen side during Robert's Rebellion, which ended in their defeat. During the last winter, so the winter that took place before this, Thorne and his ranger companions were trapped in a massive winter storm and had to resort to cannibalism to survive. Through 17 years of able service, Thorne rose through the ranks of the officers in the Night's Watch to become the Master of Arms at Castle Black, responsible for training new recruits. When Jon Snow arrives, Allie, that's what I call him sometimes, doesn't like him, and he joins the others against him, or he gets the others against him. Jon tries to make the others his friends, not like the others, but like the other recruits. And then when Samwell shows up, he picks on Samwell, and they just don't like each other and stuff, right? After Eddard, Ned Stark, Jon's most like, whatever, his dad, falsely is arrested and as a traitor, Thorne taunts Jon by calling him not only a bastard, but a traitor's bastard. Okay. Jon draws a knife and attempts to strike Thorne, but he is restrained and punished for by being restricted to his quarters. Jeor Mormont, the old bear, sends Allie to King's Landing with the undead hand of a white. I'm glossing over where that hand comes from. Oh my god, sorry. But like, zombies show up, right? And Jon like destroys them, and then he eventually gets a long claw because he saves Jeor Mormont from these the zombie attacks. So yeah, that hand gets sent to King's Landing with Alliser. That's all we know, though. We don't hear what happens. He comes back in season 4. Upon his return at the Wall, Thorne has been declared the acting Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He is one of the 5 Black brothers to, quote, judge Jon for his actions during his time with the wildlings, like killing Corn and banging Ygritte. Thorne disbelieves Jon's claim that the half-hand wanted to die. Maester Aemon defends Jon on the other charge, pointing out that he isn't the first to break the vow of celibacy, and he won't be the last. Thorne is present when a young boy named Ollie, don't worry, we'll get back to him, tells the Night's Watch how the wildling raiding party massacred his village. Most Black brothers want to seek revenge, but Jon and Thorne know better. They're like, that's exactly what they want, right? That's exactly what the wildlings want. Later on, Thorne sanctions Jon's mission to Craster's Keep, but tells him that he can only take volunteers with him. However, after being imprisoned, or after an impassioned speech by Jon, a number of Black brothers volunteer and go deal with the mutineers. When the wildling army arrives, Thorne helps defend the wall and gives the wall to Jon at one point. So yeah, he's like, it's like a pretty cool moment in the show, right? When they're like defending the wall against the wildlings, and he's like, "It's yours," and Jon's like, "Really? Cool." Yeah, so it's one of the cool Alliser moments. Yeah. So after the battle, and then Stannis shows up, then they do the election, and Thorne loses the election by just one vote to Jon. Stannis later advises Jon to send Alliser away to Eastwatch by the Sea when Jon's Lord Commander, but Jon prefers to keep him around in order to learn if he's plotting against him or not. As First Ranger, Thorne becomes a part of Jon's inner council. When Jon proposes that they allow the remaining wildling to pass through the wall in order to escape the coming White Walkers, Thorne is against the plan, reminding Jon that they have been enemies for thousands of years and the cause the death of numerous sworn brothers. He's like, they're the enemy. And he's like, yeah, but are they? I know you haven't gone under the wall and had like all the epiphanies I had, and I would be agreeing with you if I didn't have those, but I had those. Going to hang out with the wildlings. They're not too bad. Tormund's hilarious. Ygritte's hot. When Jon returns with wildlings he managed to rescue from Hardhome, Thorne is visibly angered by the presence of the wildlings outside the wall. But gives the order to let them pass after Jon shows himself. A while later, on Thorne's orders, Ollie lures Jon into the courtyard. There, Thorne claims that they had captured a wildling who might know where Benjen Stark is. So Thorne then leads Jon to a post with a sign marked traitor as a group of mutineers surround him, and he is the first to stab Jon and say, "For the watch." And this is just season 6 crap, right? So then they all stab him. Now we're on season 6 crap. But yeah, that's for the watch. They for the watched him. Thorne does not hide his role in the mutiny and manages to win over a majority of the watch, effectively acting Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Once again, Thorne speaks with Davos Seaworth, who is guarding Jon's body in a locked room with Edison Tullett, or Duller Said, if you will, and other Black brothers loyal to Jon. He offers him safe passage to the south with a horse and supplies, but Davos's mocking request for mutton convinces Thorne that they have no intention of backing down, but will fight to the death. Thorne promises Davos that if he and Jon's friends do not surrender, they will die. Ed goes and tells the wildlings, and Tormund, with the help of a giant, beat them down. And Jon Snow gets resurrected by Melisandre. He issues the mutineers' execution. When Jon asks for his last words, Thorne says that that he will rest. I will rest. Jon will. I will rest. There you go. I will rest. You'll keep fighting. He expresses no regret for leading the mutiny, saying that he prays that he would have done the same thing over again, even if he knew the outcome. Wow, it's a little sassy there. Jon then proceeds to cut the rope and hang all the mutineers and orders Ed to burn their bodies. Woo! That was a bunch of show stuff. Started off with like season one stuff, and then we got into some season 4 stuff, which isn't bad. I don't mind season 4. And we got into some season 6 stuff. Woo! And yeah. So, okay. There you guys go. There's a recap for the show. Sorry that took 10 minutes. I hope the people who didn't want to watch it skipped over until they saw this part. So, book, Alliser Thorne. So, Alliser is a knight from House Thorne, who serves as a master-at-arms at the Red Keep, at Castle Black. Alliser is a slim man of 50 years with sharp features. Jon Snow considers him hard and sinewy. Alliser's black eyes resemble onyx, obsidian, and flint. And his black hair is streaked with gray. He can have a thin smile and a sharp voice that is cold and flinty. I don't know, man. I really like his design. I think Alliser Thorne looks awesome in the books. Like, I love how he's designed. He definitely more. I'm not saying more bad. I'm not trying to talk crap about the actor, but the actor does a really good job. Okay, but man, I never thought of him as like this, like long black gray hair, and he's like he just seems like a bad in the books. Well capable, he is bitter and humorless, which we'll get to, and practically hated by many recruits of the Night's Watch who have been trained by him. Alliser wears crisp black leathers in his fur-trimmed cloak and polished boots, and he carries a long sword. Let's talk about House Thorne, shall we? House Thorne is a noble house from the Crownlands. They blazon their shields with a silver farmer's flail on red and black. We know nothing about their house. There's only one other Thorne we hear about besides Alliser, and that's Rickard Thorne, who is a knight in the King's Guard during the reign of Viserys II, and after, or Viserys I, and after. He's Dance of Dragons. You'll see him on that show, that dragon show, Alliser Thorne. Not Alliser Thorne, sorry, Rickard Thorne. Okay, whew. All right, guys, we got this. This is going to be a long one. Humorless. Prior to joining the Night's Watch, Alliser was a knight who fought on the side of House Targaryen during Robert's Rebellion. Following the sack of King's Landing and the defeat of the Targaryens, surviving knights like Alliser and Sir Jeremy Riker were given the choice by Lord Tywin Lannister between death and the black. And they took the black. As a master-at-arms responsible for training new recruits, Alliser gives Jon Snow the mocking nickname Lord Snow. Alliser sarcastically remarks that he would have an easier time teaching a wolf to juggle than training Gren to fight. Jon replies that he will take the wager and he would love to see Ghost juggle. All the men in the hall, so this is in the hall when they're doing this, including Gren, begin to laugh. Sir Alliser clenches his fist in anger, and that was the moment that Jon realizes that he made himself a lifelong enemy. He does not like being made fun of at all. He didn't like that. Later, Tyrion Lannister is dining with the high officers of the Night's Watch on his last night in Castle Black. Yeah, if you guys remember, Tyrion Lannister, little Tyrion, goes all the way up to the wall with Jon, and he actually spends like quite a lot of time there in the first book before he heads down and does all of the rest of his first book stuff. Tyrion gets around in that first book. He goes all the way up to the wall, and he like the Vale, and then a fight, and then he ends in the King's Landing. Like, he gets all over the place that first book. He's been everywhere, man. All right. Where was I? Later, Tyrion Lannister is dining. Yeah, that's it. With a bunch of people. The high officers of Night's Watch on his last night at Castle Black. Mormont proclaims Tyrion a cunning man and asks if he must leave so soon, saying that the wall needs men like him. Tyrion brushes off the suggestion with an offer to scour the Seven Kingdoms for dwarves, which is really funny. And offended Alliser Thorne claims that Tyrion mocks the Watch. Oh my God. But Tyrion counters that he only mocks Alliser. You mock the Watch. I'm only mocking you, Sir Alliser. Thorne demands that Tyrion make his japes with steel in his hand. Tyrion replies that he already has steel in his hand, a fork, because he's eating crabs, which he brandishes against Thorne in a mock attack. A roar of laughter rises from the other officers, and Sir Alliser leaves in disgust. Oh, I love that scene. Tyrion then claims Alliser's meal as the spoils of victory. I love that scene when he's like, well, why don't you say it with steel in your hand? He's like, I got steel. And then Alliser's like, all right, see you. And he goes, victory, your crab. And then he starts eating his food. It's pretty good stuff. More hostility. Man, this guy needs a nap. This guy needs a dinner. Somebody's got to buy him a dinner. Alliser has disdain for the cowardly Sam Tarly, as we know, a new recruit who refuses to defend himself during the sparring sessions. Jon Snow befriends Sam, however, and convinces, I'm using that in quotation marks because, they need some good convincing, the other recruits not to beat Sam despite Alliser's orders. When Jon is appointed to the stewards instead of the Rangers, Alliser appears to be delighted that Jon thinks that he thinks that he is behind it. Like, Alliser is so delighted that he's like, Alliser must have did this. Sam, however, explains to Jon that that the appointment indicated Jon will be groomed by Gior in how to command. He's being groomed for command. He's like, oh, he wants me to be a steward. He's behind it. And then Sam's like, bro, that's a good move. like being the assistant to the boss is actually a really easy way to become the boss. So yeah, Alliser never misses an occasion to provoke the Jon Snow. The evening Jon learns of the imprisonment of his father, Lord Eddard Stark, in King's Landing for treason. Alliser hoots anger Jon, so he's hooting. Alliser's over there hooting, who tries to attack him with a knife. Whoa! Before being stopped and put under arrest. Yeah, same thing in the show. That's a thing they have in common. The hostility between Alliser and Jon leads Lord Mormont to send Alliser to the new king, Joffrey Baratheon. Alliser is to show the severed hand of Jaffer Flowers, so it's the same thing, who turned into a white to the court. And then Andrew Tarth takes Alliser's place as the Master at Arms at Castle Black. And Thorin Smallwood, considered to be one of Alliser's henchmen by Jon Snow, wants to succeed the missing Benjen Stark as First Ranger. Yeah, I did a video on Thorin Smallwood completely, and yeah, he's not actually named First Ranger, but he's acting First Ranger because Gior doesn't actually name a First Ranger until he actually has proof that Benjen's dead. All right. Slowly but surely, guys, we're getting there. Don't call me Shirley. All right, King's Landing. Alliser sails from Eastwatch by the sea to King's Landing, where he asked for an audience with Tyrion Lannister, now acting hand of the king. Oh no, this is the guy who fought you for that crab. Bronn reports to Tyrion that Alliser Thorne of the Night's Watch has arrived with a rotten hand. Tyrion recalls the disdain for the man and his little fork fight, and offers him to be given a dirty cell and left waiting. Tyrion drugs his sister, so she is ill for court. Yeah, that's the thing. In the hall, so now he's by himself. The attendants. So in the hall, the attendants are little Sansa Stark, the coughing Giles Rosby, famous wet nurse and horse Tyreek Lannister, who recently married a baby, Ermazan. Cleo's Frey then approaches, right, with Robb's terms, and Tyrion then gives Cleo's his own awful terms, which everyone knows isn't going to work out, right? So Cleo's Frey has the terms. I did a video on Cleo's Frey too. Has the terms from Robb, like, yeah, and he brings them, and they're like, "Here's the terms," and Tyrion's like, "Go tell him to kick rocks." That's the new terms. The terms are about that good, yeah. Tyrion attempts to close the meeting, but Alliser Thorne speaks up, complaining about being ignored. "I will not be ignored." Tyrion pretends he didn't know that he was in the city, and he blames Bronn for making his friend that he walked the wall with. Wait, sorry. I'm struggling reading my own words. Alliser wants to speak to the king, but he is told that he is playing with his new crossbow. So Allie will have to talk with the king's servants. Allie relates how they found corpses of two long dead rangers and brought them back to the wall, and then they rose in the night and killed Jeremy Riker and attempted to murder Jeor Mormont. I did a video for Jeremy Riker a long time ago. Tyrion gets assurance that the Lord Commander survived. He's like, "Jeor's still alive, right?" "Yeah, he is." "Okay." And they killed these two dead men, Alliser tells them that they were dead the first time, pale, cold, with black hands and feet. As proof, he had the hand, but it rotted away while he waited in the dirty cell. Tyrion orders Littlefinger to send Allie 100 spades to bury the dead with and prevent them from walking, and tells Jacelyn Bywater that Alliser will have us pick the dungeons to use the spades. Tyrion is informed that the dungeons are near empty since Yoren has already taken them. All the likely men. He tells Jacelyn to arrest some more, or to spread the word that there is food at the wall, because right now there's no food at Castle Black. Or I mean at King's Landing. Alliser is not easily dismissed, trying to warn Tyrion of the danger. Preston Greenfield intervenes, and Alliser knows better than to challenge a Kingsguard. Then Bronn marches Alliser from the hall. Yeah, Tyrion kind of screws up on that one. The way that Tyrion is super dismissive, I get that Alliser Thorne sucks, but like, yeah, the watch actually needed more than just a couple shovels, you prick. I'm just saying. All right, back to Castle Black. We're getting there, guys. Alliser gets sent and serves as the new Master at Arms at Eastwatch, where he falls in with Janos Slynt, who has been exiled to the Watch by Tyrion. Alliser, Janos, Glendon, Hewitt, and other men from Eastwatch travel to Castle Black during the battle beneath the wall. They accuse Jon, who has been leading the defense against the wildlings of Mance Rayder, of being a turncloak and oathkeeper. And the captive Rattleshirt verifies that Jon did kill Corn Halfhand. To prove that he is not a traitor, Jon is sent by Alliser to assassinate Mance in a meeting north of the wall. The meeting is interrupted by the arrival of Stannis Baratheon's host. Woo! During the choosing for the new Lord Commander, Alliser comes in 6th in the first day and loses votes the second day, as many Black brothers resent having been trained by him. Yeah, he doesn't make a lot of friends, this guy. He withdraws his name and decides to support Janos. Alliser expects Othel Yarick, the first builder, to support Janos as well, but the reluctant Othel shocks Alliser by instead mentioning Jon Snow, who is soon elected the new Lord Commander. Well, thanks to Samwell and a bird. Yeah, Samwell Tarly goes and speaks to Dennis Mallister and Cotter Pike. And then also, Mormont's Raven is like, Jon Snow! Vote Jon Snow! Jon Snow! He's our man! Jon Snow, 2024! What does that bird say? All right, last slide. This is the last Alliser Thorne slide from the book, and then we're going to get into our differences. I knew this would be a long one. Beefy character, I told you guys. Alliser complains that Jon's election was overseen by a blind maester, Aemon, with Jon's friend Samwell Tarly by his side, to separate Slynt from Alliser Thorne and from his body. And their scheming, Jon appoints Janos command of the garrison at Greygarden, which is just a ruin. When Janos refused to obey the orders, Jon personally beheads him with Longclaw. Hardcore. Alliser is present when the sentence is given, but does not intervene. Too much of Jon's disappointment. Yeah, I think Jon would be like, you got a problem with that? And if Alliser was like, yeah, he's like, his head too. Dang it. Yeah, no, Thorne plays his cards right that time. Alliser opposes Jon's decision to let wildlings pass south from the wall, although Jon thinks the Master at Arms has become more cautious after Janos' execution. Jon later orders Alliser to accompany Tywin and other seasoned rangers in a scouting mission beyond the wall. Alliser is angry but accepts the mission, not wanting to give Jon cause to execute him as well. Yeah, holy crap. Then he states that he will return from arranging one way or the other. Jon is troubled that Alliser's friend Glendon Hewitt commands Eastwatch while Carter Pike is away. Allie is not a part of the mutiny and Jon's stabbing in the book, right? He's gone for that. Okay, here you guys go. I'm sure you saw a lot of differences in that one, so let's get right into them. Major differences. This was a request from a Lazy Boy. Thank you. I know you probably requested it a while. My requests take a long time. I have a really long list. My list for these isn't as long. My list for my Song of Ice and Fire character lores, like my smaller characters, not Michelle, is long. It's more than a year out. Just so you know. So when people are like, hey, where's that guy requested 3 months ago? And I'm like, next April or later. Oh my God. Okay. The whole cannibalism backstory, I couldn't find, if that's in the book, I couldn't find it. I went through a lot of the earlier chapters and I definitely couldn't find that story that he tells in the show. And I really like that. So yeah, it's pretty, yeah, I dig it in the show. The like, it's the you're still a summer boy, dude. Like you want to talk crap? And let me tell you, like it's a good scene. We learn nothing about Alliser's mission to King's Landing in the show. Again, I went back and tried to watch some. I didn't see him there. And then when he shows up, no one really talks about his trip to King's Landing. If I missed those scenes, I didn't have time to watch the entire show like and writing this, but I went and looked at episodes that he was mentioned, and yeah, that was weird. It was weird that they left that out. We learn nothing about there are. The Jon Snow mission to liberate Crasters is also show only, along with Alliser giving command to the wall to Jon because he is not there. And his trial is actually halfway through the battle in the book, not before, right? So Jon in the book fights forever pretty much by himself. Like, and then Alliser shows up, and instead of helping, he immediately grabs Jon out of his bed and they do the trial, and then they're like, go talk to Mance. So yeah, Alliser and him don't have that cool mutual respect moment like you get in the show, which is really cool. I actually really like that stuff in the show. Yeah. He is not the runner-up to becoming the new Lord Commander. That is Janos, along with Dennis Mallister and Cotter Pike. They both have to back away and give their votes to Jon Snow. And lastly, he is gone when they for the watch Jon Snow, and we know that he's not part of it. Maybe he like kind of planted the seed before he left, but it was mostly Bo and March and a couple of the other guys, and not Alliser. So yeah, definitely not Ollie, because I don't know who that is. All right, thank you guys for watching. Sorry, I knew this was going to be a long one. Sorry, it was a long one. Got a lot to cover, but there you go. Alliser Thorne. That's a pretty big character. There's your differences. Click like if you enjoy this. I do have a lot of other differences, and I will still be putting these out. And if you're interested, if you've never been here before and you watch this whole video and you want to hear me rant some more, I know, I talk about A Song of Ice and Fire characters that are not in the show, and I have a lot of them, just so you know. Okay, thank you, and yeah, peace.